All right, guys, Kevin of Louisiana Snake ID here. This is a one of the broadbanded water snakes that we caught. We were talking about. This guy actually has a little kink in his neck. It means he got a neck injury, but he still moves pretty good. We've caught him at different times in the yard, hang out with him for a little bit, and we let him go. But I was gonna do some little underwater shots with these guys. So I'm gonna go underwater. You may not be able to hear me, but we're gonna watch the snake swim underwater. Alright guys, you may not be able to hear me talk louder, but this is a nonvenomous broadbanded water snake. We're watching it swim. This one is swimming underwater, but I want to keep people in mind that non-venomous and venomous water snakes and moccasins, you could be a venomous moccasin or a non-venomous water snake, they'll swim on top and under the water. So you can't just say because it was underwater that it was a harmless snake, or you can't just say just because it was on top of the water that it was a venomous snake. Again, we watched this guy. I want him to get out the little spot there. But he's got the dark vertical lines on the side of his mouth. His head actually kind of looks like a diamond. When he comes up, we'll get a different one. Alright, so again, I'm going to pick this guy up. I'm going to get a different snake. But this is a non-venomous broadbanded water snake, the absolute gorgeous belly, okay? These guys pose no risk to humans. They don't have a nasty bite. If they bite you, you're not more likely to get an infection than you were if you just got a scratch by a thorn or a scratch by a stick while you're walking in the woods, okay? So if you get any open wound, you obviously want to walk. Who's a little bug on like a little beetle? You obviously want to wash any open wound to prevent infection, but you're not more likely to get an infection just because there was a non-venomous water snake bit you and you have crazy bacteria. That's just simply not true. And it's just something that people say, but I don't want people to believe that. Obviously, like I said, any open wound, wash it, but you're actually more likely to get an infection from a dog or a cat biting you than you are from a snake. So I'm going to swap this guy out with another one. We're going to grab this guy real quick and see. All right, Kyler's coming. Kyler's got to get it. But yeah, this is the first time we've ever gotten in the water. Sorry. The pool's not completely clean. We've been dealing with that tropical storm stuff, and I hadn't run the vacuum today. Wanted to make sure we could get in there so we could see this. But we're going to get a different snake. Swap this one out. All right. So, again, all these snakes are wild. They live in the woods back there. It's a swamp, and when we have a southeast wind, it pushes the rivers into our yard, and that's what happens. So, like I said, we figure we take advantage of this, get some good videos of these snakes, harmless snakes that we have. And here's a different one right here. Alright, this one's got a little more of a pattern, right? This is the same thing, a broadbanded water snake, but you can see he's got a lot of browns on the side of his body. Real pretty snake. Again, he's got the dark non-vertical lines on the side of his mouth, the dark vertical ones. So it's a non-venomous water snake. I want to put him in and see, because sometimes they'll swim on top of the water too. He's swimming more on top than the other guy. And they can go all the way on top of the water. Okay, this guy's swimming pretty close, but I've seen moccasins swim like this. I've seen moccasins swim completely under the water. Again, this is they can do both. It depends on what they're in the mood to do. And people ask, can snakes bite in the water? Absolutely, they can bite in the water because their prey, a lot of their prey is fish and frogs, and they eat fish obviously in the water. So it's kind of when you think about it, it makes sense. Yes, they can obviously bite in the water because they eat fish. If they didn't eat fish, if they want to eat fish, you're not going to get them out of the water. So they can bite underwater. A bite underwater is very rare. I'm going to go underwater so you can watch this guy swim. I don't want to do the moccasin. I'll just keep the net because I need to catch him with a net. Like an actual net. the white one. But hey guys, look, this is the same guy came up. Look how cool it is. He's just chilling in the water like that. He doesn't I don't pose a threat to him. We've caught these guys before. This is a wild snake now, guys. This is not a pet. These are wild snakes that we just caught the other night. But we see them in the yard all the time, but we don't hurt them, so they know that we're not really a threat. They might bite us when we first catch them because they're scared, right? But left alone, and they realize we're no threat, they'll calm down real quick. And they'll figure out, okay, these people aren't threats. So if you see a snake in your garden all the time, chances are to get used to seeing you, and it won't be a big deal, okay? So, let's see. All right, buddy. So, again, non-venomous broadband water. Hi, guys. So what we're going to do here real quick, we're going to see if a moccasin will swim on top of the water or go under the water. We've talked about this before, how they'll do both. So the pool doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it right now on purpose. So we're going to give it a little chance to swim around, and we'll see what it does. See if it swims on top of the water or under the water. So right now it's swimming just like that water snake was swimming. Alright guys, so now he's kind of swimming partially on top. And we'll see if he'll go under the water. Again, this is a venomous cottonmouth water moccasin. He is swimming partially on top of the water like the water snakes was doing. And he was, I'll get up that hole there. He's actually doing, look where he's swimming. Recording, right? Yeah. I was concerned the white net that didn't have holes in it. The white one does too? I mean, a little bit. Alright guys, I'm going to scoot him away from this opening so he doesn't get out of there. I want to show you guys again. There's a venomous cottonmouth water moccasin juvenile. Swimming kind of partially on top of the water, but he's not completely on top. But people say they float. He's not floating now. The only thing out of the water is his head. The rest of his body is under the water right now. Now he's completely under the water on his own. But look at the colors of this guy. Look how gorgeous he is. Now he's starting to float. He's inflated his body, but all snakes will do that. You can see the non-venomous, you can see the tail on his venomous cottonmouth water moccasin. Sorry if I misspeak while I'm doing a live video. But again, this guy can swim on top or under the water. Depends on what he wants to choose to do. Right now he's floating, but they don't always do that. This isn't something that, like, okay, if you see one that's on top of the water, it's definitely a cottonmouth, or if we see one under the water, it's definitely a water snake, okay? So I want to show you, I'm going to back it away again so he's not by the wall, and then I'm going to just let it go and see what he wants to do. Each snake is different, guys, so floating, yes, it is possible. Now, can he swim underwater? Absolutely, that's why I want to show you guys that as well. I'm going to kind of push him down, because this is not hurting him, it's just kind of giving him a different option to swim, and you watch him swim underwater. For those just watching this, look at the pattern of this guy. This is a juvenile cottonmouth water moccasin that we found in our yard in the floodwaters. He's just chilling in the water. He's not sure about me, but he's not chasing me. Notice how he hasn't tried to come at me at all. I've got a net to kind of keep him from getting too close if he wants to. But look how he's never tried to come at me. He's not chasing me. These guys get called aggressive because they chase people. Look at the snake going the opposite direction. I'm having to go after him to get close enough to be able to talk and do a video. But if you look at the top of his head, you can see that you can't see his eyes. They're not visible from there. On a water snake, they would be visible. You'll be able to see the eyes from the back of the head. This guy, you can't see it. That's one way you can identify a pit viper from a picture if it's on top of the head like that. So keep that in mind. That's another way to tell. If you can't see the side of his mouth to see the vertical lines, look at the top of their head like that. And if you can't see the eyes, which you cannot on this one, then it's going to be a venomous pit viper. Like a cottonmouth or a copperhead, this is a cottonmouth, or a rattlesnake would have the same thing because they're all pit vipers, they're all in the pit viper. Alright guys, this is Kevin with Louisiana Snake ID here. The video on the pool kind of cut out of this juvenile cottonmouth water moccasin, so I wanted just to show you what he looks like dry. Obviously a lot duller. You can still see the yellow tip of the tail. They use that tip of the tail. It doesn't sting people by pressing against them. It's actually used to lure in prey. They wiggle that tail like a little lure, and whenever prey comes close enough, they strike at them. These are pit vipers, so they use their heat pits to sense when a prey is close, strike it, and then they'll track it down and eat it after that with using their tongue and their pits if it was a warm-blooded animal. But again, we're Louisiana Snake ID on Facebook, LA Snake Boys with a Z on YouTube, and we're actually on Instagram, Louisiana_snake_ID. So give us a follow on all those guys. We're a snake education and identification page. We just love snakes and want to get that out there to save as many of them as we can. But again, this is a juvenile venomous cottonmouth water moccasin. The colors are a lot duller from outside of the pool, and you saw earlier in this video. And if you have any questions, hit us up, guys. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and like our Facebook. Thank you.